Hi, I'm Michael Carr, founder of Michael Carr and Associates, and we are Anything Real Estate, and we have the confidence of over 68,000 residential transactions. I'm here to talk to you today about some of the misconceptions of why your property isn't selling, especially in today's market. After you watch this brief video, I'm going to invite you to set up a free strategy session with one of our knowledgeable agents so we can discuss the resolution and probably the avoidance of some of these issues. Do you feel burdened every time you make another payment on a home you want to sell? Does it seem like you never hear from your agent because they do not have anything new to tell you about your listing? Do you feel the roller coaster of emotions from elation when your home is shown to deflation when you never hear back from anyone? Is your home not even being shown? Do you get feedback but your agent doesn't know whether the feedback should be taken seriously? Do you feel stuck? Well, for starters, relax. Odds are you are not cemented into your situation. Odds are your property falls into one or more of the 6 myths that people believe when their home isn't selling, which is why we have compiled the 6 myths behind why your home isn't selling and why 90% of real estate professionals can't help you. Myth number 1. I need an agent from a major franchise broker to sell my house. Big franchise brokerages are awesome. However, it is still an individual agent that sells the home. All agents offer the same platforms to display your house. If you are using an agent with a big brokerage and your house hasn't sold, there is another, usually more obscure reason why. Keep in mind that large franchise companies are in the business of building large franchise companies. They are focused on name recognition on a global scale, and they use real estate as the vehicle to accomplish that goal. The individual agent you choose definitely wants to sell your house. They definitely want to make the commission, but they no doubt chose the big franchise for a different reason than you. Again, I love big franchise brokerages. I have found that large franchise brokerages have great training on operations, file building, next steps, accountability to complete the file correctly, legal compliance, and file tracking techniques. The individual agent is the one focused on customer care, customer service, and customer concern. Large brokerages are often filled with incredible agents with massive experience and knowledge. However, they are brought up watching the buck and tracking the file. Our agents are brought up to address the personal concerns of the potential client while maintaining the credibility of the file. Our system is set up for our local brokers to be involved in each client's success to help the agent handle more case files without losing the relationship with the client. This provides a fluid, company-wide process that is focused on the needs and the motivation of you, the client. The size of the brokerage or franchise means nothing to your bottom line, and neither does how many transactions a brokerage has done. I am America's top-selling real estate auctioneer. I've been involved in well over 68,000 residential transactions. What does that mean to you? Let's be honest. You care less about the 68,000 transactions that I've been involved with than how involved I'll be in yours, correct? There's only one transaction at the top of your mind, and that is yours, and that is the way it should be. We understand your desire and frustration with selling your home and moving on with your life. What our track record proves is that you can believe in us. Large brokerages utilize the exact same platforms that an individual broker uses. We are all aware of the many marketing tools that platforms required to display a home for sale. MLS, Google Ads, flyers, Craigslist, Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, the list goes on and on. But where do you fit into this melee of electronic madness? Well, for starters, if your home is not displayed in its best light, you are already starting off on the wrong foot. Many times, a home can be priced right, show great, and displayed well, but if the agent took the pictures with an iPhone and only posted 3 of them on MLS, it doesn't help you very much, does it? You only have one chance to make a first impression. It is incredibly important then when interviewing an agent that you look past the brokerage name and focus solely on the credibility of the individual agent. How many transactions have they been a part of? What is their average days on market for all of their listings? How well known are they in the area where your home is located? While all of these questions and more help to determine the agent's experience level, how you interact with them is the most important. Are you comfortable with them? Do you feel you can be honest with them? Are they constantly in contact with you during the process? Are they willing to listen to you regarding the marketing nuances of the house that you know intimately? Lastly, consider this. Not only do the smaller agents get lost in the bigger franchises, you and your house could get lost in that shuffle also. Additionally, large brokerages still work on the 80-20 rule. 80% of the deals done in the large franchise brokerages are being done by 20% of the top agents. Many of these agents advertise only their name and face, but then will send other agents to work with you, causing you to feel automatically overlooked. At a minimum, you need direct contact with the super agent, and if that cannot be guaranteed, you need to consider a different agent or company altogether. All these questions play a major role in success of the sale of your home and should be considered. Remember, you do not need a major franchise name on the sign in front of your house. You need an agent that knows how to market to the right buyers correctly and quickly. Here are the things you should keep in mind when considering your choice of an agent. Number 1, interview several agents and ask the right questions. Number 2, you want the total package, full service. Number 3, insist on great pictures and as many as will fit in the advertisements. Number 4, listen for keywords in their presentation concerning the following. A, average days on market in the area. B, sales price to list price ratio of the area. C, number of transactions, both agent, brokerage, and the area. D, years the agent has been in business. And E, whether the agent is full-time or part-time. Full-time agents are highly recommended. Myth number 2, I'll start high on my pricing because I can always come down later. Be careful with this thinking. It is natural, and on the front end, it looks like it makes sense to maximize your profit on the largest investment most of us will make in our lifetime. Yes, getting top dollar for your home is the number one goal, but there are so many more parameters that go into gaining that top dollar aside from a great comparative market analysis. You need an agent that knows how to give and take on the final pricing based on market awareness and appetite. In some markets, a home in any condition will sell in less than 30 days. But in other markets, a home that is priced comparatively might be overlooked solely because the yard is not up to par with the neighborhood. We have experience that helps us stay informed on more than just the market yield. I remember one home that I purchased to rehab in Snellville, Georgia. It was in a neighborhood where the average days on market were under 45. I remember thinking that we bought the house for the right price. It was the first house in the neighborhood. It was on the right side of the road, and it was literally the first home you saw when you turned down the street. It had great timeless floor plan, lots of rooms with front and back staircases, a grand entrance, and a very colonial and stately elevation, lending itself to the perfect rehab. What went wrong? After we spent $75,000 in rehab, this beauty sat on the market for 300 days. It was so bad that a top producing agent that lived in the neighborhood offered us $20,000 loss just to take it off of our hands. Now here's the rest of the story. We listened to the agents that had shown the property. One said that the backyard was too overgrown, so we cleared it out in order to feature the large size of the lot. Another agent said the front door wasn't stately enough, so we changed it and repainted it a second time. Yet another agent told us that the master bath was dated. We had skipped updating it because it was just barely outdated. It still looked great, but buyers needed to see it differently. Long story short, it sold within 30 days of the second rehab. The buyers made our day after the closing when they said, and I quote, "Do you know what we love most about this house? It sets the tone for the rest of the neighborhood." They recognized that they had just purchased the best house in the area and were ecstatic about it. What we learned from it was a profound lesson. Price is relative to desire, but your agent must understand the market desire to maximize your return. Keep this in mind. Number 1, in most situations, your peak exposure is the first 30 days your house is on the market. That's very important. Number 2, in this instant gratification and transitional society, many buyers are forced to make quick decisions. Number 3, if you are priced out of the market or at the top of the price scale, buyers could be overlooking you for comparable properties that fit better within their budget. Number 4, choose an agent you feel can accomplish these points for you. Myth number 3, I have to fix everything before my house will sell. I have clients ask me all the time, should I fix everything so the buyers will not have anything to complain about? The short answer is no, mainly because we cannot begin to guess what a specific buyer wants over what you or I think they want. What we can do is look at it objectively. There are several factors that must be considered when choosing to spend money to maximize a return. In this day of Love It or List It and so many other fictional TV shows about rehabbing and making insane profits, the public view of the housing market is skewed beyond belief. I am leery about any agent that comes to my brokerage convinced that they are great at rehab or design without years of experience actually buying and selling homes. Trust me on this point. I have rehabbed over 600 houses in the Atlanta area, and I will be the first to tell you that every house is different. Every situation is different. The law of diminished returns is always the wolf at the door. There are many things one must consider doing to a house to make it market ready. Some of these things cost money, while some of them only cost the seller time. Light kitchen updates, bathrooms, finished basements, landscaping, front door, nice mailbox, and good curb appeal are some of the things that are important to buyers. However, keep that in mind. Statistically speaking, the best of these only return approximately 77% of the actual cost. They are not dollar in and dollar out expenses. So why do any of it, you may ask? That is a legitimate question that can only be answered by seeing your particular house and how it fits in the surrounding area and market climate. For instance, if the only house on your street sold last month in less than 60 days, but it had a $20,000 kitchen rehab done just before going onto the market, then you may be forced to offer a similar look to maximize your time and profit. Likewise, if all of the houses in your area are selling as is for top dollar, then a minor update might push your house to the top of the market like our house in Snellville was able to achieve. This is where you want to get serious when choosing an agent. We can all run the CMA, a comparative market analysis, on your home to determine a baseline price, but can your agent help you dial that pricing in to achieve low days on market and maximize return on your bottom line? Keep this in mind. Number one, has your agent been involved with enough rehabs to recognize diminishing returns and wasted money? Number two, is your agent experienced in the area where your house is located? Number three, does your agent know the demographics of who's buying in the neighborhood and why? Number four, can your agent reach those people quickly with a call to action that will make buyers move? Myth number 4, my house is too dated to sell. People can usually see through outdated elements, but they have a hard time seeing potential in functionally obsolete elements. We have the experience to downplay the unchangeable problems and overcome the doubt of the fixable ones. Again, you're looking for those things that make your home unique. No matter how old a house is, it has its place in society, and chances are someone is looking for that exact home. The problem you may run into is the inability to reach those people who are looking for your house. I have had hundreds of situations where dated houses have sold for top dollar. As I've mentioned, there may be multiple reasons why your home is not sold, and condition may be only one of those reasons. You can definitely overcome condition, but how you highlight the positive relies heavily on the knowledge of the neighborhood buyers and the demographics they represent. Young urban couples usually do not mind walking through older, unrevitalized areas to get to their favorite restaurant or club. Older empty nesters might not consider places like that. They tend to want to be in peaceful surroundings and don't mind driving short distances to get to their favorite places. Couples with small children usually want to raise them around like-minded families in suburban neighborhoods. Everybody wants something that highlights what is important to them, including you. Don't be dismayed because your neighbor's home sold in 30 days and you're on your second renewal. It can be frustrating, but we can help you assess the situation correctly so you can sell quickly to the right buyer. Keep this in mind. Number one, does your agent really understand who will want to buy your home? Number two, does your agent really understand why they would want to buy your home? Number three, can your agent tell you how they will reach out to those specific buyers? And number four, does your agent see the average days on market as a challenge or as an obtainable goal to beat? Myth number 5, The neighborhood is run down and dated, so my property will not sell. It is true that neighborhood factors heavily on pricing. However, an unkept neighbor does not disqualify all buyers. There are all types of tastes and viewpoints. What you believe to be true about the market's appetite may not be true to someone else's experience. On top of that, think back to when you loved your house, the new smells and sounds. There are thousands of people who will have the same positive reaction today that you had back then. The condition of a neighbor's property is generally not a major point in identifying a property's lack of response. Usually, there are more fixable traits that are holding you back from selling. Price, condition, curb appeal, incentives, area research, and amenities are actually more prolific market movers than your neighbor's yard. Neighbors do play a part in the resale of your property, and some are more difficult than others. But remember that your problems are not necessarily the potential buyer's problems. To that same point, the complaints you have are not always the same complaints that others will have. For instance, I bought a house where the neighbor next door was a music producer who worked at night. All night, thumping and bumping over and over again the same beat and verse until he got it perfect. Then he'd move to the next line and the process started over. I literally bought the house because the sellers couldn't stand it any longer. Of course, I found out about this after I had bought the property and moved in. This was an interesting study because the seller's behavior pattern induced them to sell cheap to run away from a perceived problem that I, the new buyer, had no way of knowing about until after I had purchased it. You get the point? Just because it was a problem for them, it wasn't necessarily a problem for me. In fact, after a discussion with a neighbor about how his career affected my family, he made some adjustments to fix the problem that had allowed me to buy the house so cheap in the first place. It was additionally interesting that this house was a for sale by owner. A FSBO, we call it in the industry. The National Association of Realtors has published reports proving that a home listed by a professional agent sells for 25% more than a for sale by owner even after the commission is factored in. Had this family utilized a professional agent who knew the market demand and supply, he would have made a higher net even after paying the commission. Keep this in mind. Number one, an experienced agent could have a huge positive effect on your bottom line. Number two, not all of your perceived problems will be factored by the market. Number three, your aggravations and frustrations with your home will not necessarily be the buyer's aggravations. Number four, do you trust your agent enough to ask them if your frustrations are the same as the market concerns? Myth number 6, it's the market's fault my home hasn't sold. Market conditions can definitely affect the sale of a home. Ask any of us who survived the real estate crash of 2008. I traveled the country, over 33 states, post-2008, selling residential properties at practically giveaway prices because there was literally no demand to buy unless you were an investor who was gambling that the market would come back. Here's a secret for you. It always comes back. The real question is, can you wait it out? The truth is, downturns in the housing market are usually short-lived. All things considered, desire for your property, area, or neighborhood due to external factors like churches and schools will play a much bigger role in the quick sale of your house than an elusive creature called the market. Keep in mind the positive attitude factor. You love your house, and someone else will love it also. Focus instead on who that potential buyer is. Can your agent get to them? Does your agent have a critical understanding of the perfect buyer for your house? The point I'm attempting to drive home is this. The reason your home hasn't sold is really not due to a blanket excuse like the market. Your home probably has not sold because one or two minor fixes that need to be identified, and you haven't been exposed to the right market. The core of the problem is that those potential buyers are not being exposed to your property. Once we identify the core person looking for your house, we can lead them straight to your door. Then we dispel the other 5 myths and lead you to the closing table, the moving truck, and on with the rest of your life. Keep this in mind. Number 1, can your agent articulate the best buyer scenario to you? Number 2, are you confident that they can follow through with reaching that best buyer? And number 3, are you receiving systematic reports on how your marketing campaign is performing? Here's the conclusion. 90% of all agents I have ever met do not approach the sale of your house from the who is the perfect buyer angle. However, it is the end result, and it must be the initial driving force. Last year, I lost out on a listing to a brokerage that only offered properties on one of the two MLS services in the area. It took that agent twice the average days on market to sell that house. It saved the agent $240 in fees, but it cost the sellers another $1,100 because they had to make another house payment on a house they wanted sold. Great agent, bad business plan. In our local market, better than half of the buyers come from the MLS that the agent did not offer. Shatter these myths about why your home has not sold. There is help available. Our agents are especially helpful and knowledgeable. We can pinpoint the reason your property has not sold, why it hasn't been shown, or why there hasn't been any feedback from the market. As I said before, you do not have to feel stuck wondering what now or feeling like we will never sell our house. Perhaps that is the biggest myth of all. There is a buyer looking for your house right now. They simply have not been introduced to it yet. Odds are there is a small mistake, maybe just one tiny corner cut short, that is preventing your house from getting offers. Perhaps it is several things compounded to keep you from moving on with your life or into your next dream home. Let us take a look at your property and offer you our opinion as to your options. You don't have to wait any longer. You do not have to feel the roller coaster ride of emotions from elation when your home is shown to deflation when you don't get an offer or any feedback. You can stop the depression of not selling. The old adage is keep doing what you are doing and you'll keep getting what you are getting. This is so true in real estate. If you've tried to sell but haven't been successful, if you are discouraged and perplexed, then it is time to call Michael Carr and Associates and let us help you sort through the myths and find the solutions.